Thank you very much. Thank you. And hello.
Celebrate, celebrate, dance to the music. Yeah, celebrate, celebrate, dance to the music. I can't help it, folks. I know in my last video I started it out with a Three Dog Night song, and I'm doing it again. But I can't help it. Celebrate, celebrate. It fits this video so well when it comes to the Beatles, or more specifically, this time, the solo Beatles. Yes, my friends. Now, it's been about a week since I made a video, and I want to thank you all, anyone who watched my last video about the Beatles 2 album. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you like my content, you'd like more like this, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. It would help my channel. Thank you so much. Well, anyway, it's been a while, about a week or so since I made a video because I've been very busy this week. Me and Mrs. Street have been doing some things, busy work around the house and whatnot. So it's been kind of crazy, and I haven't had time to sit down and think and come up with something for a video. But just the other day, I was talking to my friend Rich here at YouTube, Rich Wink55. I'm sure you've all met him before in some of my videos, and he's a regular commenter and frequenter of my channel and other channels as well. Well, he said, Matt, you got to get your butt in gear and make another video. So, you know, we were hashing over some things, texting back and forth, communicating. And so he helped me with a little bit of an idea, and then I grabbed that idea and I ran with it, folks. And basically what it is, you know, we do a lot of talk here on the Matthew Street channel about the Beatles per se, the Beatles. But, you know, sometimes the solo Beatles do not get enough love. And I'm sorry, the solo Beatles, they have some of the greatest musical material of all time, rivals the Beatles themselves. I'm just being honest. I could listen to some solo Beatles just as much and just as readily as I can to the Fab Four as a unit, okay? And I'm sure many of you agree too on the talent of these four individuals by themselves. But we've had albums like 62 to 66, the Red Album. We've had albums like 67 to 70, the Blue Album, highlighting their brilliant career. But what if we want to highlight the brilliant careers of the solo Beatles up to a certain point? Okay, how about the Beatles 1970 to 1980? Voila! What do you think, folks? Well, that's what I've tried to do here. I'm creating an album for fun, okay? But don't get all your panties in a knot or a snit or whatever, okay? It's just Matthew Street with my opinion. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear if you think I should make some changes to this. And even after I finished it, I also thought I could make a change or two here or there. But I'm sticking with my original. Basically what I did, folks, is similar to the Beatles' Red and Blue albums. I'm making the Beatles solo Purple album. We're combining red and blue and making purple. I'm creating a 2 CD Beatles solo set or 3 vinyl LP set. All right, this is my dream, okay? We're going to have 28 tracks. Nice even number. 28 tracks on this Beatles solo 70 to 80 CD 3 LP vinyl. Paul, because he was very prolific during that 11-year period in the 70s, he's going to get 10 tracks. Just the way it worked out. For me and my list, you can give Paul 2 tracks if you want. You can give Paul 15. I don't care. But it's a 28-track album. Paul's getting 10 of those tracks on my list. John is getting 8 of those tracks. George is getting 7 tracks and Ringo 3 for a total of 28 tracks. 11 solo years covered from 1970 to 1980. This album that I've created will have hits, #1 smash songs, top 10 songs, album cuts that were not singles that I just feel have to be on this Beatles solo album, and personal favorites of mine, things that just mean a lot to me and I just think they need to be on here. Now, you may have a completely different list, or you may agree with some of my list, none of it, or all of it. Let's see how it works out. Like I said in my last video, I want to hear from you. I want to see, Give me some songs I should have included on this album that you would have liked to seen. Hey, that's no problem. Sure, we can switch it up. We can put your songs on it too if you want, take a couple of mine off. But this is just what I came up with for my Beatles solo album, The Beatles, 1970 to 1980. So let's get into it. Let's have some fun for this great Beatles solo experience together, okay? Here we go, folks. Now, I'm going to kick off my 2 CD or 3 LP set with The Great Jet by Paul McCartney and Wings. And you know what I'm going to do instead of go Wings or Paul for this me talking for, I'm just going to say Paul, John, George, and Ringo track. Okay, so if it's Paul with Wings or Paul or just Wings, I'm just going to say Paul. Okay, it's a Paul track as far as I'm concerned. My album starts out with Jet. We need a banger right off the start. We need to blast right in with a real rocker. And you're going to see this album of mine goes in like a little bit of a wave. It's going to start out strong, rocking, and bang, in your face. It's going to then go into a mellow period towards the middle, and then it's going to pick it up again and then slow down. So it's going to be that kind of thing. At least that's the way I did it. You can do it differently. You may want to do your album in like a succession of years, like earlier solo Beatles to the later period from 70 up to 80. I just did it mix and match basically with a semi leaning towards consistency of the years, but it does jump around a little bit on my album. See what you think. So we start out with Jet. Track 2 is The Great Instant Karma by John. Yes, I just think that's a 1-2 bang right off the start. And then you want to take it further. My track 3 on this Beatles 1970 and 1980 album is George with What Is Life. Bang, bang, bang. Jet, Instant Karma, What Is Life. What a way to kick off an album. Now, track 4 is going to be the great song. I think it's just a great rocker from an album I really don't care for. But John with New York City will be track 4. Again, I want to start this album off big, banging, booming. So we're going those 4 tracks right off the bat, but we're not letting up. Because track 5 on my album is going to be Junior's Farm by Paul. Bang! What a way. If this is the side 1 of the 6-sided vinyl LP, you can't beat those 5 tracks right there. Jet, Instant Karma, What Is Life, New York City, Junior's Farm. Bang. What a great way to start an album. Now, okay, where's Ringo, you say? Well, here's his first track. Track 6 is going to be It Don't Come Easy by Ringo. So we're still chugging along here, folks. Great, great track from Ringo. Had to be on my Beatles solo 70 to 80 album. Now, track 7, Live and Let Die. Paul again. I know it's Wings and all that. It's Paul and Wings, but like I said, Paul. All right. Live and Let Die by Paul is track 7. Gotta have it. Bombastic, great, brilliant. One of the greatest movie soundtrack songs of all time, in my humble opinion. Now, track 8, now we're going to start to chill a little bit. After the bombastic Live and Let Die, we're going to go into Mind Games by John for track 8. One of John's greatest inspirational songs ever, in my opinion. And in many cases, I got to say, I don't know if it's burnout or what, I like Mind Games even more than Imagine in a lot of my moods and stuff, But not that Imagine isn't brilliant. You'll be hearing that one coming up later. Mind Games, track 8. Then we go into the brilliant George Harrison song, Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth for track 9. I'm just saying we're going into like a slower down period right now on this album. Solo Beatles, 70 to 80. Track 10, Another Day by Paul. Fits well here, I think. We're going into, like I said, that mellow period. And I like to have a little slowdown, a little chance to breathe after the opening of this solo Beatles album. Now we're going into track 11, which is Maybe I'm Amazed by Paul. Again, one of the greatest songs Paul McCartney has ever done in his solo career, in my opinion. It had to be on this album. Track 12, now we hit Imagine. Yes, it's a little burned out. It's a little overplayed, overdone, so to speak. But I couldn't ignore it, folks. I just could not ignore this iconic John Lennon song. If we're putting together a compilation of the Beatles' greatest solo material from 1970 to 1980, Imagine had to be on it, so it made track 12. Track 13 is, again, another classic that, a lot of people might just fluff it off because it's so common, but it is one of his greatest songs. My Sweet Lord by George is track 13 on my Beatles solo Best Of album. Track 14, again, staying with the slower theme, is Love by John Lennon. Had to be on this album, folks. It's one of my favorite solo John songs. And again, some of your personal favorites have to come into an album like this. Your feelings have to be expressed with the songs you personally love. So maybe you would pick something different here, or maybe you would agree with me. But I think Love deserves to be on this album. Track 15 is another one of those songs you might scratch your head. You may agree with. It's obscure a little bit, but it's one of my favorite Paul songs. It's Love in Song is going to be my track 15. We're still in our kind of mellowish period of this album now. Love in Song just had to be on here at track 15. Love it. It's one of my favorite Paul songs. Track 16. Now we're going to pick up the steam a little bit on my album, my solo Beatles 70 to 80 album. Track 16 is Gimme Some Truth by John Lennon. Rip-roaring, guttural, emotional song. Had to be on this album. And we're keeping the pace up with number 17, High, High, High by Paul. Had to be on this album. One of the greatest solo Beatle rockers, in my humble opinion. High, High, High. Had to be on it. Track 18 is a little poppier, but it's one of the greatest singles in solo Beatles history. And to this day, I don't care how many times I hear it, what format I hear it on. When it comes on, I stop and I listen. Listen to What the Man Said is track 18 for Matthew Street on my solo Beatles 70 to 80 album. Gotta have it. Paul, one of his greatest songs ever, in my opinion. Track 19, Wah Wah by George from All Things Must Pass. It's just, I know there's a ton of great songs on All Things Must Pass we could pick, but for me personally, Matthew Street, if I'm putting together a solo Beatles compilation album like this, and they're going to print it up for me and make it in 3 LP vinyl or 2 CD, I got to have Wah Wah on there because it's one of my favorite George Harrison songs. I love it. Track 20, Ringo Starr, Photograph. Yep, folks, I mean, you can't deny it. It's one of Ringo's greatest solo songs ever, one of his most successful, obviously. The involvement with the other Beatles on the Ringo album from 1973, the specialness of that, the uniqueness of that cannot be denied. And there's so many wonderful tracks on that album. But I just, Imagine, you can't ignore it, no matter how much it's commonly played, or how can you just leave Photograph off a greatest solo Beatles compilation album? So Photograph is here at track 20. Track 21 is a little obscure, but it had to be on here because it's a track I love from John Lennon, Steel and Glass. What a fabulous album. It's got the kind of the reference to it to some shenanigans that were going on during the period of the Beatles breakup and all that with certain individuals. We'll leave it at that. But as a song, just as a presence, as a emotional, how it hits you, Steel and Glass is one of my favorite solo John Lennon songs and one of my favorite songs of all on the Walls and Bridges album. So Steel and Glass gets number 21. We're getting down near the wire, folks. 28 tracks on the Beatles 1970 to 1980 album. And track 22 is another banger that I have always loved. I know some of you might scratch your head and go, why this one? Why didn't you pick this one? But I've just always loved this song since the day it was released as a single when I was in 8th grade in 1975. George Harrison's You from Extra Texture makes track 22 on my Beatles solo 70 to 80 album. I love the song You. It's another one listen to What the Man Said, that whenever it comes on, no matter where I hear it, how I hear it, I don't get burned out on it. I just stop, I smile. It brings me back to a more innocent time in my life, mid-70s, and one of the greatest George Harrison songs and singles ever, in my humble opinion. So simplistic with its lyrics. I think there's only like 25 words or something in the whole song or something like that. But just the catchiness of it and the emotional way it hits you and just makes you feel good and positive. And it's one of those songs, it's a feel-good song and it lifts you up. So You was going to be on this album, track 22. Track 23 might be another head scratcher, but you have to understand it comes from my favorite Paul McCartney album of all time. And it's a rocker and it always pulls me in and grabs me and holds me. That's Getting Closer by Paul from Back to the Egg. Track 23, I just love it. It had to be on here. And then for track 24, we go to another George song that just always holds me, always brings me in, just hits me. Don't Let Me Wait Too Long from Living in the Material World. There's a lot of great songs on that album, folks, but I think, you may think I'm crazy, but Don't Let Me Wait Too Long is just like, to me, early power pop or something. It's just one of the greatest George upbeat, faster songs out there, and I love it. And no matter where I hear it, it's another one of those I got to stop and listen. And track 25, it's the final Ringo song on this album. It's a little bit of a head scratcher maybe for you, but I love it. It's another one of those songs that for me personally, Matthew Street, I have to stop, I have to listen, I have to smile, I have to feel good about life and about everything. And that Snookeroo by Ringo is track 25 from the great Goodnight Vienna album. Had to be on here. It's one of my favorite Ringo songs ever, Snookeroo. It's just, I love it. Love it. That's just me. Now we're going to close the album out with the final three songs. And the first one is track 26, Woman, from Double Fantasy by John Lennon. John always called it the Beatle track. Let's work on the Beatle track now. And he's so right. John went back to his Beatle roots with this song, Woman. The whole texture of it, the way he sings the song and presents the song and the guitar parts in it. It's perfection. It could have been on a Beatles album for sure. And it's one of my favorite solo John songs. It means a lot to me, and especially how much I love my wife, Mrs. Street. It's just one of those songs that makes me think about her and makes me think about a lot of things. John's always very thought-provoking. And Woman, track 26, had to be on this album. Track 27, you can't deny it. Like Woman, this is another one of those lovely songs, love songs, whatever you want to call it, that I couldn't leave it off. I mean, I could have put another Paul song on here, but I said, no, if I'm making a compilation album that's going to be in the stores that people would buy and want, you got to have My Love from Red Rose Speedway on this album. You have to have it. And yeah, there was a lot of other songs I could have drawn from, but I went with My Love for track 27. Next to last song on the album, just a beautiful love song, just one of the greatest Paul ballads ever written. Had to be on here. And I'm finishing up the song with an album with an obscure one, folks, but I just thought the upbeat nature of it, what it's about, and just giving you hope and belief in the future. And track 28, we're going to close out this solo Beatles 1970 and 1980 album with George Harrison's If You Believe from the self-titled 1979 George Harrison album. Folks, I don't know if you've really gotten into this song before, but you need to if you haven't. If You Believe is one of the most upbeat, passionate, positive songs George has ever wrote. And it's just poppy, it's fun, it's an upbeat way to close out this album, and I had to do it. And I know every one of you will probably all have different ways you would have closed out this album with a million different songs. But this is the way I did it, folks. So there are my 28 Beatles 1970 to 1980 album tracks. Let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. Changes I could have made, that's fine. I'll be happy to we can talk about making changes. I'll say, yeah, sure, we'll bring that one in. Yeah, sure, we can bring that one in because I love them. And like you do, we love the Beatles. We love the solo Beatles. So thanks for being here. I'm going to head out now, and I want to thank you all again for all your support of my channel. I appreciate it. Like I said earlier, if you could like, comment, share, and subscribe, it would really help my channel. I would really honestly appreciate it. Thank you all so much for being here, and I will be back very soon. Thanks again, Rich. Bye-bye.
I got blisters on my fingers!